Hello everyone, this video is on the topic of teaching your dog to work on a variable ratio of reinforcement, or in other words, do multiple behaviors before they get a treat or toy or access to the environment without feeling frustrated or confused or perhaps punished by the fact that they're not getting a treat every single time. It's important to understand that when you start using a variable ratio of reinforcement or not giving a treat after every single behavior, you have to use behaviors that are strong with your dog. So nothing that your dog is in the process of learning or has just learned, where if they don't get the reinforcement after the second time they do it, they might stop doing the behavior or the behavior might start to vary. So one thing that you can do is ask for multiple behaviors on a variable ratio, which means that you can say, for example, your dog has only done one behavior per treat, then you might start using an average of 2 behaviors for a treat. So that means the dog might do 1 or 2 behaviors before they get a treat, and then you move on as your dog is successful to a higher average, such as 5 behaviors. Your dog might have to do 7 behaviors before a treat, or 3 behaviors for a treat. And the way that I like to reduce errors in my training is that the moment that the average is higher, that the number of behaviors the dog has done is higher than they've ever done before. Say your dog has never done 3 behaviors before a treat, then on the second behavior that follows the reinforcement of doing more behaviors than they've ever done before, I will just ask for a really easy behavior and then give reinforcement for that. So say my dog has never done 3 leg weaves. After the 3rd leg weave, I'm going to go back and just reinforce the dog for doing a mini leg weave. And what that's going to do is going to reduce the frustration and reduce the chance of errors in the training and frustration in the training, so the dog is always into the game. Another thing you can do is, say for example you're in a puppy class. Oftentimes you'll go through the whole 6 lessons of puppy class without learning how to move on to a variable ratio of reinforcement, because you're learning new behaviors and the dog doesn't know anything really. They haven't been reinforced enough for any of the behaviors to be strong, so they're not learning how to move on to a variable ratio of reinforcement. And then time goes by and then you're like, oh, I need to work on a variable ratio, but so much time has gone by that the dog has been getting a treat for every behavior that they get frustrated easily when you start asking for more. So one thing you can do if you got a new rescue dog or puppy that you're training the basics to is increasing the duration of how long you lure the dog. So you could work on sit and down and sit using a treat, so it's extremely easy for the dog, and ask for multiple behaviors before you give the treat. So I'm going to ask her to stand and then down and then stand. Get it? Epic. Down. Good. So when it's harder for the dog, say I'm not doing any visual cue or luring gesture, then I'm going to move back on to using a 1-to-1 ratio reinforcement if that's new for the dog. And when I go back to luring, I can ask for more behaviors before giving the treat to the dog. Okay, so an example that I'm going to use is her behaviors, which is leg weaving and going in circles around me to the left and right. Are you ready? So I'm going to go back to using luring, and I'm just going to ask for 1 leg weave. Good. And give a treat. Good. Give a treat. There's another one right there. And then I'm going to ask her to circle me. Good. Go through my legs and then circle me the other way. So that's 2 behaviors right there. So for the moment, she's gotten a treat for every behavior and then a treat for 2 behaviors. So now I'm going to ask for 3 behaviors, which is legs, legs, and then going in a circle around me like that. And now I'm just going to ask her for 1 behavior, good, before a treat. And now another thing you can do is stop marking every time the dog does a behavior. So I can say legs and just feed her the treat. Legs, so she's not waiting to hear that she did it right. She's just getting the treat. And then you can move on to instead of getting the marker, they just see the next signal. So here, she usually hears the word good, but now my other hand is going to cue her to go through my legs. So instead of waiting for the marker, she's waiting for the next signal of what to do next. So did you see how she laid down like that? That's the signal that I've asked for too much. When the dog starts to offer behavior you haven't asked for unless it's very obvious. Say, for example, if you're sitting like this, your dog might offer the behavior that they always do when you're sitting like this, which is sitting or downing. But when I've been standing like this and cueing her to go round, if she lays down, that's information to me that she's confused or frustrated. It could be because I'm talking to you, but it can also be because I've asked her for too many behaviors before giving her a treat. Another tip is using platforms to teach the concept of doing multiple behaviors before the reinforcement. It's important to understand that you have to build the value of going to the platform. So if you were to put a platform down, the dog wants to go and sit on it unless you've worked on stimulus control, which is teaching them to only go there on a verbal cue. But basically, you need to build the reinforcement value of being on these platforms first before then asking to go to multiple platforms. And the reason that this works is that the platforms, going to them, have become secondary reinforcers because the dog enjoys them because they've been paired with reinforcement. Every time they run out and sit there, they get a treat. So they start to really want to sit on these platforms. So now I'm going to ask her to go to multiple platforms before a treat using that variable ratio. So at first I'm just going to ask for 2 platforms before she gets a treat, but beginning with 1 because I've been talking and she's been waiting there for a long time. Are you ready? Epic, free. Pause up. Good. Ready? Go mat. Good. Epic. Go mat. Good. So now I'm going to ask for 2. So I'm going to ask her to go to this one. And then now I'm going to ask her to go pause up. Good. Ready? Go platform. Go platform. Pause up. Go platform. Good. Epic. Go round. Get it. Go platform. Good. Ready? Go legs. Go legs. Go platform. Jump through. Good. Another really valuable tip is you'll notice I have 3 platforms and not just 2 because the dog can learn to run back and forth from one platform to the other, and if they don't get the reinforcement, they might get confused and start running back and forth. So you see she's staying on this platform, and then I'm going to send her to the other one, and then send her to this one, and there's less chance that she gets the concept of running back and forth because there are 3 behaviors rather than 2. So the same with stationary behaviors or going in a left spin or a right spin. So instead of asking her to spin to the left and right, I might ask her to circle around me and leg weave. So she's understanding the concept of doing multiple behaviors rather than switching back and forth between 2 behaviors. Go platform. Sit. Go pause up. Good. Did you see how she sniffed the ground there? There's no treat in sight. So what she could be telling me is that I've done too much training or asked for too much too quickly. Free. So now I'm going to, actually there is a treat right there. But the fact that she was distracted by it means that she wasn't really in the game. So here she's on that platform and I'm going to go say, go pause up. Good. And then I'm going to mark and reinforce. Good job. Free. Good. Go platform. Good. Ready? Go pause up. And you can see she's sped up because she's finding this more reinforcing. Free. So if any time you see the behaviors start to get slower or the dog starts to vary their behavior, it just means going back and working on a one-to-one schedule of reinforcement with those specific behaviors. So this part didn't work so well, but switching from one platform to the other was very strong. So these 2 behaviors are very strong compared to going out and putting feet up on the platform after sitting on a mat. Good job. Free. Good job. And don't forget that the release cue is also a behavior. So if you've released your dog from a platform and they come towards you, free, you can reinforce that behavior too. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to support my work, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. You can also become a supporting member of channel Kiko Pup by clicking the join button. And this month's members video for my Kiko Pup members actually is how to train a dog to do multiple behaviors and then gain access to reinforcement in the environment. So it's a very similar exercise to this, but the dog is being asked to do certain behaviors and then being released to a plate of food in the environment, which can help greatly if you're doing competition or canine freestyle, or you simply want to ask your dog to do behaviors for you when they're somewhere where they want something in the environment, say for example access to say hi to a person or another dog. See you later.